Hello, class. This is Dr. Marcia Boatman, and I am here to give you the information for the small group presentations that will be due in week 14. The topics are here listed on this slide, and so each group can sign up for one of these particular categories, and I will have a sign up sheet for the groups listed. It'll be as a discussion forum, and it'll be labeled so that you know exactly which area where you can sign up. And so once a group has signed up for one of these sections, then that is no longer available. Once you sign up, so say for instance, if you're doing prenatal, then you would choose two of the four domains that we're covering in this class. So you could choose, if you're doing social and emotional, then that would basically be the focus of your entire presentation, and you would not need to include any information on physical and cognitive, although sometimes things overlap. And if you wanted to do it on all four domains, that's fine too. You just need at least two domains. And basically what you'll do is research. You will choose a current topic that is related to the domains that you're picking. So if you chose prenatal and infancy, then and social and emotional, then the sources that you're looking up and the current topic would need to be related to that. And here I have the criteria. This is for the written sources. You want at least two written sources dated between 2011 and 2017, and one of them should be a scholarly or peer-reviewed source. You want at least two multimedia sources as well. There's more flexibility with these as far as the date, because sometimes you can find older videos and things that are still helpful. So you can, of course, go back further than 2011. And you can also use the textbook for this assignment, but that is not included in the two written sources. And I ask that, of course, that you avoid all wiki sources. And here are just some examples of sources. So over here, I have the written sources. Of course, the scholarly peer-reviewed, professional journals, which are basically the way you can tell the difference between a professional journal and, say, a popular journal like a Psychology Today, is that there are usually no pictures in professional journals, and they are written more for people who are in the field. They may not necessarily be peer-reviewed, but they're definitely not popular. And so that's kind of how you can tell the difference. The peer-reviewed or refereed or scholarly just mean that basically, in order to get the article published, the researchers went through a very stringent peer-reviewed process. And so that is a different kind of journal from all the others. And when in doubt, you can always go to the journal website, or you can Google it. Is such and such peer review? And believe it or not, you can find information that way. So don't make it any harder than it has to be. You can also use newspapers like Newsweek, New York Times, things like that, which you would, of course, get online. You can use websites, .gov, government websites, if you didn't know already what that is. Tons and tons of information for anything on .gov sites. They're very helpful. And remember, there are state websites, so like your state has its own .gov, and then there's federal sites for the entire country. So, you can find a lot of things on .gov websites. Of course, like Psychology Today or Huffington Post, you can use websites like that, or websites from organizations like local hospitals, schools, clinics. Sometimes they have very good resources and things of that nature. And then here I just have a list of different multimedia sites. And I put this here because sometimes students feel limited to YouTube, and there are tons of other sources available besides YouTube. So here's just a few. This here, Storify, if you're not familiar with it, it is basically a site where you can tell stories using the internet. And so if you want to play around with it, I recommend you definitely do something like that before you decide to use it, because it may or may not fit for what your presentation is going to be. But it is a good place to go. So when I say sources here, You can get information here. And then some of these, like for instance, especially Storify, would more so be if you were trying to put your presentation together in a certain way. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. So for multimedia, though, I'm meaning that if you have a YouTube video that you're getting information from, that's fine. But for your presentation, I also want you to include some multimedia content in your slide. Okay. Right. And here I have the sections. And I have it broken off here with slides just to give you an idea of roughly how many pages. I mean, I'm not overly picky about this, but it should not be that much less. And you don't need like 20 to 30 slides either. So, of course, you'll want a title slide. This is what you should include. Your first section is just an introduction. So when I put two to three slides, and let me clarify that because this can be confusing. Meaning, this title slide is slide 1. This would be slides number 2 and number 3. So here you'd outline the important details of the 2 domains, and this should be slides 4, 5, and 6 at the most. Not that you should have 4 to 6 slides. So I'll make sure I clarify that in the announcement or wherever I post this, okay? And when I say outline the important details of the 2 domains, meaning for social and then for emotional, if I'm using the example, you'll want to put what the things you and your group believe are the most significant things that I would need to know about those 2 domains of development based on your current topic. So you want to make sure that the overall context, fits together smoothly. So for instance, if I were doing it on physical and I'm doing it on something, maybe some type of disorder or something, or a genetic issue with that affects the brain, then I want to make sure when I'm doing my outline of those important details that I'm including what normal infant brain development looks like. All right. And so here you'd explain your current topic and provide examples. And so this would be slides number 7 through 11. All right. And then the final one would just be your reference page. And so the multimedia content can be embedded anywhere in here. So you can embed your YouTube video, you can record audio the way I'm doing this. And I'm using the free version of this particular app, so you could certainly use that. I mean, there's tons of different ways that you can include multimedia content. And you can also use add-ins if you didn't know that. So with PowerPoint, if you choose to use PowerPoint. Right? And then this is how the points will be broken up. So it's worth 50 points. So 20 for content, the information that you have, making sure that it's relevant and that it's accurate, and that you have enough content. How it's organized, you want to make sure you follow what I've already provided as far as how it should be organized. Your group presentation, and that means the overall presentation, how it's put together, how you present it. That includes like your pictures and different things like that, the overall look of it and how you're presenting the information. And this here is just grammar mechanics. And you can use APA or MLA. I prefer APA. But I do understand that most students have already been using MLA here. So if you do use MLA, that is fine too. And then just a few final points. The groups, you can decide what multimedia you will use. And just a reminder that it's using more than a typed assignment or presentation. So the PowerPoint or the slideshow alone is not enough. Of course, you can use audio. So I do consider that multimedia. It's just more than one form of media. And so sound is fine. And I would like for you to, of course, cite your sources throughout the presentation. And then you're also going to want to include the reference page at the end. Anything that is cited must be referenced and vice versa. And of course, I've already said include pictures that complement your topic. So pictures should be relevant and the size should be appropriate. Maintain proper transitions from one topic to the next. So that goes with organization, making sure it's not choppy. And you don't have to use PowerPoint, so I do want to put that out there. But whatever you choose, make sure it's something that anyone can download or access, not something that I got to buy a subscription or something to access it. All right, so I'm going to post this in the class, and then if you have any questions, you can just put your questions there for me, and I will be checking that as well. So stay tuned for other slideshows with some of the other things that are coming up sooner than this one, actually. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.